Advocacy. It's a core principle of democracy. Of course, voting is the pinnacle of all of it. But what if you can't vote? You're like not old enough. Well, you do the next best thing and try to convince others of their choices. And that's what a group of Idaho teenagers did in our nation's capital recently when a nationwide group descended on D.C. to advocate for type 1 diabetes treatments. Well, Gem State wasn't about to be left out. Joe Paris spoke with the trio of Idaho teenagers about their trip and what message they want congressional leaders to learn about.
Straight to the source for a group of young Idahoans, an opportunity to advocate for what is most important to them. Kennedy, Maggie, and Heidi are a part of Breakthrough T1D 2025 Children's Congress. Heidi Lyman explains.
I'm advocating for type 1 diabetes for cheaper insulin, cheaper supply costs, and a cure and research for diabetes.
Delegates with T1D, type 1 diabetes, from across the country, they came together in D.C. recently to push Congress to renew the special diabetes program, sharing their story in person and online.
One of the hardest things about diabetes is that there's never a day off, and there are no breaks. Every day for every meal, I have to count carbs and dose insulin for everything I eat.
Advocates explain T1D is an autoimmune condition that causes the pancreas to make very little insulin, or none at all. This leads to a dependency on insulin therapy and a risk of short and long-term complications, which can include highs and lows in blood sugar. Kennedy McGrain earned a seat at the table, meeting with Idaho Senator Jim Risch about the importance of the program, a point shared by fellow Idahoan Maggie Joyner.
I have talked with Congress people before, and I just have seen how important it is for us to get this funding. And I'm going to college soon, and I understand the difficulties that can come with having diabetes, especially transitioning to adult life. And I wanted to make sure that everybody in the U.S. can have access to what they need when they have diabetes.
Type 1 diabetes is very expensive to live with. The reauthorization of the special program helps keep costs manageable. And managing it all, never mind the cost, is hard enough.
So this is my CGM. It's my Dexcom G6. This is my insulin pump. It has a tube, and it connects to my little monitor, and you can see my blood sugar right there. And you can see my little trending graph and all my insulin doses and whatnot.
The monitoring and medicine can cost thousands of dollars, something hard to comprehend for people unfamiliar with it all. It's that bond that brings so many young people together, advocating for a better future for all of them.
It's really cool to have people in the same state going through the same stuff and loving what we do.
The Children's Congress meets every other year to advocate and explain to our nation's highest-ranking officials. And this year, they also got to be a part of a special message of inclusion.
Mattel, the Barbie company, made a Barbie with an insulin pump and glucose monitor.
All of her devices are seen in her outfit. I know that when I was this old, or even up until a few years ago, I was scared to wear clothes that would expose my insulin pump or my CGM. And so seeing that she wears them proudly is super cool. And there were so many younger kids that were just so excited, and it was super sweet to see them. And I know that they just want to rip it out of the box and play with it.
So it wasn't just a token trip, because without congressional action, that special program will expire in September. Brian, it's a great, example of people in our community going to D.C. to advocate for what they believe in. And it's something, too, that as youth, as you highlighted, they can't vote. It's the best way they can do it.
Okay, so with all the cuts being tossed around in D.C. right now, federal funding being frozen or whatever, grants, that kind of stuff, was this one of those that could have been on the chopping block or could still be on the chopping block?
I think, to be honest, everything's on the chopping block at the federal level at this point, and there's extra emphasis on taking a look at spending. That's why it was more important maybe than ever to have this group of youth from across the country and some international players as well in D.C. to explain firsthand to lawmakers at the highest level in our country why it's so important. Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to Secretary of State Phil McGrain. He helped shoot that whole thing. He was there being a proud dad with Kennedy.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Thank you, Phil, for helping to capture the sights and sounds of D.C.
Politics running in the family. All right. Thank you very much, Joe.